if you're a younger man and you know you want to have a family, and she's at that stage of life where she's like, no, I don't want to have kids, or I can't have kids, or I had kids already, or whatever case may be, don't go in and thinking that you're going to change her mind once you get married. Talk about that.
Am I okay with the age difference?
Yeah.
Okay, and that may seem kind of obvious because, like, well, you must be if you're entertaining it. But again, I love a lot of people that come into ask us these questions, and they're talking about how uncomfortable they are, or they have trouble thinking that the man is capable in arguments because they're just thinking about the fact that when you're younger than me, you don't have as much experience as me. And that's a serious question you need to ask yourself.
Or even other way, they may think that you're too old and you're not in touch with, this time or decade or whatever.
Well, and then it's kind of like, well, here's one thing. So when we were getting together, that's a question I had to ask myself was, okay, I love Casey. I want to be with her. I want to marry her. But I got to be honest with myself about this. Is this going to be a problem for me someday? Because when we first got married, it was like, okay, nobody can tell. Nobody still generally can tell about age difference. But I'm just saying, like, at that moment in time, no one really knew unless you would tell them. And, there wasn't much difference. So, it's okay, it's cool. But then I wanted to look forward and say, okay, Jalen, are you going to care later?
Yeah.
Are you going to care once y'all start getting older? Are you going to be embarrassed? Are you going to feel weird about it? And I asked myself all these questions, and the answer was repeatedly no. I legitimately didn't care.
And we talked about it between each other, honestly. Here's the thing about when you enter into a relationship with somebody, whether it's age gap or not, sometimes these questions that we're going to pose to you don't really hit you until you get further into it. And then it's like, okay, I need to really come off of the emotional high of liking this person and really be honest with myself. Can I really do this? And I think that's what kind of scares people. It's like, because, you really genuinely like this person and they have all the bells and whistles and they're good. And then it's like, but wait a minute. They're 10, they're 11, they're 15, or maybe more years older than you are. And it depends on where you fall. You might be the man, you might be in a woman's situation. You're going to fall either side of that. But anyway, that reality really hits. I know for me, it kind of did. It didn't scare me because of what I already believed, but I did have to be honest and say, am I okay with being in a relationship with a younger man? Because one, I didn't want to feel from you that you were holding back, I don't know, living your life or doing things that you want to do because you may feel like I wasn't able to keep up with you or something like that. I didn't want you to be embarrassed if at any point I started looking older than you, which that's not going to happen. But I had to think about these things, what your friends were going to say, because it was really strange in the very beginning. We have the same circle of friends now, but there was a little window of time where he had other acquaintances and friendships and things, and these people were like in college and they were like, young, and I was like kind of weird. I felt kind of weird a little bit hanging out with you guys a little bit, and none of them knew at the point how old I was, but I knew how old I was, and I'm hearing them conversation. I'm like, what are these people talking about? Like, it was just kind of weird. So, I had to really be okay with that, and yeah.
So you can be honest with yourself. And we were always health oriented people.
Yeah.
Like we were, even as friends, we were always working out, exercising. So that was always going to be a part of our life. But know you and your life and this person that would be your partner. Because here's the thing, and we don't believe in the concept that, because you're old, that as you age, your body just automatically breaks down. That's not what happens. What happens is an unhealthy lifestyle catches up with you. And that can happen sooner or later, just depending on your body, depending on your genetics. It catches up with some people at 30, it catches up with some people at 60, some people at 70. It'll catch up with you if you live an unhealthy lifestyle. We live healthy lifestyles, but look at who you are and this other person. Do y'all live the healthy lifestyles? Because at some point that will catch up. And so if that's something that's going to be a barrier for you because it may catch up with the person who's older faster than it catches up with you, possibly looked at in the face and say, oh, that'll never happen. Well, it could. And it might, because there are consequences to the decisions that you live. And so look these problems directly in the face and ask yourself, is this going to be a problem? And then be honest with yourself about those answers, and be honest with the other person and make your decision from there. But don't pretend like, and again, obviously, if you've been following our channel for any length of time, we're talking about people who are actually intending to be married and doing this God's way. We're not talking about flings. We're not talking about fetishes of people who just want to try something new and get their groove back or do something like that. Like, there's none of that. So if that's what you came here looking for, then you're on the wrong video anyway.
Because really, honestly, the only reason why, well, I would say not the only reason why, because age gap or not, you still have to work the principles of marriage in order to have a successful relationship. So it doesn't matter where you stand in the age gap situation, you have to work the principles of marriage, period.
But when you're signing up for an age gap marriage, you are presented not with more challenges, but with a unique set of potential challenges that someone else with the same age may not ever encounter or have to deal with. And so you have to be smart about that and understand those things. That's just being realistic.
And I think the unique about you and I, and the reason why we gelled so well is that, one, we had very similar upbringings in the church, in the Word.
Oh, you hop into question number 3.
Oh, well, well, pretend like you heard this before, but, you know, we had very similar upbringings and mindset and mentalities about life and things like that, and pursuits of life that really made us work or make us work. And when we began to deal with one another, we forgot how old we were. So I think that's what really made us gel the way we do together now.
Exactly. All right. Question number 2, and this is a very, very practical, important one, is do you want children?
Yeah.
And then part B of that is when do you want them? And I guess part C of that is how many do you want? Now, this is a conversation that everybody should have before getting married to someone. If you're going to be serious in a relationship, you need to know, do you want a family? Do you plan on starting a family? Are you dealing with anything in your body that would prevent you medically? And that can happen at any age. So I'm saying everybody needs to ask these questions and handle these questions. But it's definitely something that you want to talk about where there's an age gap. And it's not just because, oh, well, if the woman's older, then she can't have children. That's not across the board in any way true. But what I am saying is when someone is in a different phase of life than you, because that's just something that's actually true. When there's a great deal of years between you, they are in a different part of life. And it's not even about physically, it's about mentally.
Yeah.
And so you need to ask this person, well, how do you feel about children? Do you want children? And a lot of times people will go along with things and say, yeah, well, you know, but you need to really settle these things now because sometimes you make assumptions because, hey, we're in the same stage of development. We're going through the same things in life, having the same experiences. We think the same way. But these are things you need to ask and say, well, at this stage in your life, do you still want children? And then if you are someone who's concerned because you feel like your biological clock is ticking, okay, does that mean that as soon as we get married, you want to have children immediately? Do I want to have children immediately? Things like that. Now, when we get married, neither one of us were afraid of Casey's ability to have children.
But again, that has a lot to do with how we were brought up, what our foundational faith is.
Yeah.
And we talked extensively about that. We even put down the amount of children that we wanted, and we came to an agreement on that. So getting married, having children wasn't a mystery to us. It wasn't something that we'll talk about later down the road. And, you know, I was 34 years old when I got married. And when we got married, I was 34. And some people will be like, well, girl, you need to go ahead and just get pregnant. But I knew that we
didn't want to do that.
We didn't want to do that right away. We wanted to wait. Yeah. And so we waited 4 years to get pregnant with JJ.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we did.
Huh. Wow.
To get pregnant with JJ. And it was an immediate situation. It didn't take no time to get pregnant. And, you know, we have a very healthy and beautiful son. He'd be 2 years old this coming August. And do we want more kids? Yes, we do want more kids. But again, it has everything to do with the agreement that we came to. And we had the word also to back that up. And, you know, I want to say to people who may have, there are situations where the woman may be at a stage in her life where she's quote unquote beyond her childbearing age. So, or she may have kids already, you know, adult kids, or he may have kids already and adult kids, and already been through that phase of life where they've raised their kids and they're done. They may not want to do that. Yeah. So don't push it all to the side. Talk about it. If you're a younger man and you know you want to have a family and she's at that stage of life where she's like, no, I don't want to have kids, or I can't have kids, or I had kids already, or whatever the case may be, don't go in and thinking that you're going to change her mind once you get married. Talk about that. Because if you really want children, you're gonna have, and if this is the person you really want to be with, you guys are gonna have to come to some sort of agreement on how that's gonna happen.
Yeah, because that's a huge deal breaker for a lot of people.
It is.
That it shouldn't be a deal breaker.
And it can be a bone of contention in your relationship and cause a lot of resentment. So really talk about it. It's really, really important.
Yeah, talk about that very early. All right, number 3 question. And this is, again, you want to ask yourself, what do we share in common?
Yeah.
All right, so this is something that comes up a lot. I think a lot of people misunderstand this when it comes to relationships. Like, we got to find someone that you have a lot in common with. And I mean, that's nice and everything, but that's not really exactly what makes marriage work specifically. But the reason why this question is important here, found with sharing common, is, again, logistically, when you're dealing with people with a larger age gap. And you got to find an age gap, because some people come to us like, he's 1 year younger than me, he's 3 months younger. That's not an age gap. I'm sorry, it's not. I think you have to get beyond 3 years. Isn't even an age gap to me, honestly.
No, I feel like personally, this is just us talking. You know, we have 11-year age gap between us, and there's people that have a greater age gap that's doing this as well. Personally, I mean, maybe because I'm biased, because I'm living it. If you're born in the same decade, I don't really think you have a serious age gap. Now, I'm not saying that it can't bother you, or there might not be some differences, but literally, if you grew up with the same cartoons, I mean,
But when you're dealing with something, I don't know, I'll pick a number, 7 years beyond, something like that.
Maybe.
Then maybe 10 years, I don't know, but 7 years beyond, then you start having, you're still in the same generation, but there are certain slightly cultural differences that you deal with. And for example, being funny, but we did grow up on different cartoons. We have different words that we use for the same thing, although a lot of that's probably North versus South than it is age difference.
That's a debate in itself.
Like that. But there are certain things, ways that you perceive life, the world, and things like that, and also just being in different phase of life, and there's things that the older person has done that you just haven't had a chance to do. Doesn't mean you won't be good at it or you're not mature enough to handle those things, but you just haven't done those things yet. And so as a result, there are a lot of differences of things that you don't have in common. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what do we have in common? What do we see eye to eye on? And that's what I was saying, you were mentioning before about the way we were raised, the church we were raised up in, the way that we believe, our beliefs on the word and Jesus. Those are things that we share in common. We have a lot of those views, things like that. We have the same philosophical views about the world. We have the same political views. We have the same spiritual views. Those are things that we share in common that kind of transcend age. It has to do with anything. So what I'm saying is, if you have the age differences, that's not a cultural differences. That's not a deal breaker. But if there's nothing else that you share in common, then that's going to exacerbate that. And what you end up doing is blaming it on the age difference as to why y'all don't get along. In all reality, the what do we share in common is a question for every relationship, in all honesty. But we're including it here because that's something that you'll end up blaming on the age gap when y'all end up having these irreconcilable differences, as they call them. So because there are going to be stark differences when there's a larger age gap, you are going to want to find out, what do we share in common? What do we see the same? Because that's going to be your meeting ground. So although me and her like different TV shows, and although we like different styles of music, that's our biggest difference, probably the music.
But here's the thing about the music thing. This is not even like a generational music. My husband has a very particular type of music that he was fond of, especially in the beginning, that I don't think no one could really get with.
What are you talking about? There's lots of people that can get with it. Obviously, if it's music that's being made, people like it.
Well, okay, that's for another conversation. Yeah. Okay, but I want to say this. I feel like my like of music, I like a little bit of everything. You just like maybe one or two things.
Yeah, I don't think that's it. Cause no, because your style does come from a few years back from me.
But for me, honestly, the music that I like doesn't even come from my decade. Doesn't even come from my era.
Oh yeah, you actually pulled it back to the era.
I like old school. Yeah. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, that's because how my parents were. Yeah. My dad in particular, he had a very particular style, so I kind of adapted to that thing.
Yeah, which was even
but anyway.
So what do we share in common? It's a question you want to ask yourself.
So we don't share music in common.
Because a lot of times relationships start. All the good feelings. What you share in common is all the endorphins and the hormones, and that's what you share in common. And at the end of it, you're like, I don't like nothing you like, and we, kind of thing. And that's not a reason to break up because you like different TV shows. but you've still got to find those core things and values.
Because honestly, to me, it makes it fun because it gives you an opportunity to learn something new. Mm-hmm. For me, anybody that knows me well, my core group of friends know. Me being older, because I'm actually older than all the people that we're friends with, but no one will ever know because I hate using this terminology because it don't even feel right for me. But staying young or staying youthful or staying sharp or whatever is because I'm always learning. Mm-hmm. Like, I've learned not to just get settled in my way of doing things and just say, this is the end of it, this is it. No, I stay fresh, I stay sharp, and I stay learning. So being in an age gap relationship for me is good because it keeps me learning all the time. We swap information between each other and our knowledge base, but it keeps me learning because it's like I will not be the last one on the pole, not pulling her weight. Like, that's just not my mentality. And I think when you enter into an age gap relationship, you have to know you very well. You have to know your mentality and what you're willing to do. Like, I'm not a person that is going to dry up and just get old and die. Like, that's not me. No. And it's not me trying to be youthful. It's not me striving to look or be younger. It's just me being who I am. So that's why I really believe it works. So you got to really know you. In
all honesty, and what you were saying about, not dying out and drying out, you're talking about mentally.
Yeah, mentally.
And what's funny is I think you have more of that drive for that more than me.
Yeah,
honestly.
Because you had an old
I'm probably more settled than she is.
He is.
But one thing that we did share in common, that reason why it kind of works is because I do have a drive, though.
Yeah.
I'm very big on, I'm ambitious. I'll put it like that. I have purpose and I have ambition and I have drive to get to certain destinations. And I'm constantly pushing. And so I have that. Meanwhile, you are ever learning and ever adapting and a kind of a sponge for new information. And that sort of just mesh together and that kind of
so we're good for each other. So we balance one another out because honestly, my husband would definitely dress like a dad.
Yeah.
He is comfortable with just kind of a dad style. And no shame on dad style, but you know what I'm talking about when I say dad style. I'm like, babe, you're a young man. Like, why are you dressing like this?
It's natural.
Like, why? Like, come on. Yeah. You look good in this. Take that off. So he's just, like you said, he's very, like, mature in how he presents himself most of the time. So we balance each other out. And I think that's why people just don't really know.
Yeah. Or think that I'm older than you.
Or they most time think he's older.
And being perfectly honest, it's not just, it's not a fluke because people think I'm older than my brother. I have an older brother. And 9 times out of 10, people think that I'm the older one. And it's funny.
So God knew. Like, he knew what he was doing.
All right, number 4. The question you want to ask yourself is, why do you want to be in this relationship?
Yeah.
And this is an important one because sometimes we get in contact with people who are like, yeah, I'm in a relationship with a younger man just like you. You should not be married. It's like, yeah, it's the best relationship I've ever been in. I'm so happy. And younger men are better. They're better at sex and they love the woman more. They're more passionate and they're more respectful and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we're crossing over into what I mentioned before about that whole fetish territory where you're trying to just experiment with something new. And that's what you need to ask yourself. All right, are you wanting to be in a relationship with this age gap person because of the age gap, because they're younger, because they're older? On the flip side, you have men who chase older women because I was communicating digitally with someone who, a young man was asking me questions and he was trying to justify going after older women because he felt like the younger women were less mature and weren't giving him the kind of attention that he wanted. And he was getting more attention from older women. But based on what the phase of life he was in and the sort of career he was pursuing, I kind of saw that, dude, this is kind of a trap. You're kind of being hunted right now. You don't realize it. And so you got to be careful because if you're thinking, and like I said before, you're kind of reacting to previous relationships. Well, it's like, well, you're an older woman. Men my age are too dead or fuddy-duddy, so I'm going to go to a younger man who can match my energy. That's a dangerous precedent. Don't go in a relationship looking for that. Younger man, I'm going to go after older women because they're more mature, they got more experience, and these younger women don't know what they want.
And they want somebody to mommy them, you know, to cuddle them.
That kind of thing. Okay. So, yeah, an older woman is not a prize to be conquered. Like, oh, hey, I did this. Let me check off this mark that I got with a woman.
Yeah, so don't get into an age gap relationship to boost your self-esteem. Basically, don't do that, because you're gonna hurt yourself and the person also. But it won't last, you know, because that stuff fizzles out. You see that a lot, you know, these younger, especially older women want to be with younger men because it makes them feel good. They're still trying to be 20 when they're actually 55. You know, they're not ready to step into mature womanhood, and they try to hang on. And you see that a lot of times, or they want that status of being a cougar. I hate that term. Like, I don't like that term cougar. Like, it's to me, it's just so disrespectful. Some women like that. I don't. But they like that prowess. Like, I have this dominating ability over boys, basically, not a man. So they won't deal with a real man. They'll deal with boys that need that kind of attention. So you have that. And then, like you say, you have the men who like that older woman thing. Because it makes them, they want a sugar mama, or they like the way that looks. They feel like, oh, I'm all that I can capture attention of any woman. And you also have it with younger women being with older men, like much older. They're looking for a father figure. They're looking for a sugar daddy. They're looking for that status, you know. For whatever reason, don't do it for those reasons, because it will break you, and it's not going to be a good thing.
And so what is the right reason to get in an age gap relationship? Reasons that have nothing to do with the age gap. Because at the end of the day, it's still a marriage. It's still the principle. The reasons why you get into a marriage is to glorify God, not for anything else. So if you're going in for the wrong reasons, that's a clear sign that, you know, you're broken and you need to get fixed before you start pursuing relationships. Because what happens is we get hurt in relationships, and then we look for the opposite of what we came out of as a reaction to what we're doing, or we're rebounding or something like that. And those aren't the reasons. So ask yourself, why am I interested in this person? Is this legit because of who this person is, and it wouldn't matter what their age is? Or am I trying to chase something or fix something or heal something? Because you're going to just destroy yourself and the other person. All right, the final question is a question that's very simple, and it's simply, is this the right person for me? And that's a universal question. Universal question, but I still put it here because ultimately the grand point of all this is, it's not about the age gap. It's not. At the end of the day, it's a marriage that must be worked with the principles of marriage that God laid out in His Word, like any other. While I mentioned, yes, there are unique challenges that are unique to being an age gap relationship, at the end of the day, it's still the same solutions as anybody else, you know, in any other relationship. You're going to deal with the same problems that anyone else deals with in other relationships. So at the end of the day, it's going to still come down to, is this the right person? And that answer has nothing to do with their age. At the end of the day, our reason for being together has nothing to do with that.
And that's kind of, that's the reason why it works, because now we may have our inside jokes about it. Sometimes amongst our crew, we have inside jokes, but we don't bring it up. We don't talk about it. Honestly, God, we only talk about an age gap on YouTube here, because we made the mistake of mentioning the fact that we had one. I promise to God, if we never mentioned it, I don't think anybody would ever know. And because we revealed the fact that we did have one, loads and loads and loads of questions came in about it. But I don't regret it now. I'm just being funny. But I really don't regret it. I believe that God needed people to hear that and see that, because there's so many people struggling with it. You know, they're struggling with age gap, and there's so many age gap relationships out there that feel kind of alone or feel weird. Because, to be honest, at first I was a little cautious about revealing our age difference, because I did not want to be labeled a cougar. I didn't want the stigma. I didn't want the jokes. I didn't want that attention on us that way. I wanted people to get to know us for who we are. And if they happen to know how old we were, then it'd be like, oh, you know, it wouldn't have mattered, because they would have fell in love with who we are as individuals and as a married couple. So for a long time, I really kind of want to protect that because of all of the stigma around that. And even though we see it a lot in Hollywood and stuff like that, but Hollywood is definitely not.
You don't want to copy Hollywood.
they're not the mirror of marriage that I want to copy, okay? But because it's so publicized in a negative way, I just wanted to shield our marriage from that. So that's the reason why we were kind of like on a DL about it. Wasn't ashamed, but on a DL about it. But now that it's out, it is what it is, and we're confident. We don't have any shame.
And we've got some, like, one time we got a story from a woman who said that she came across us and was so happy and kind of felt felt freedom for the first time because she felt like she had to sort of be ashamed of the fact she was in an age gap relationship, the stigma with it. But seeing us, kind of reassured her that she was good. She made the right decision, and she was a godly woman in a godly relationship.
Yeah, because sometimes people can make you feel like you're not smart, you're intelligent. Why you marry that young man? What's wrong with you? What's missing in you, or vice versa? Why are you with her? So you can get that backlash a lot of time. A lot of time it comes from your friends and it comes from your family. They don't support you. We're so thankful that we did have family to support us in this, and I was shocked. My dad was the one. We told y'all, my dad was the one that was like, I like Jalen. I think he would be good for you. And I was like, what? Okay. If y'all knew my dad, you would know that was like a shock to me. So I knew this was God. This was definitely God, because my dad was the one who confirmed our relationship. So, absolutely. But age gap can work if you use the word like you do with anything else in your life. And we proved that.
But go with eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Because statistically speaking, they fail a lot, age gap marriages. And I think the reason why is because, one, people are chasing it for the wrong reasons. Same way my half of marriages have been failing. People are chasing it for the wrong reasons. And then asking yourself these questions. These are things you really got to be honest with yourself about when you go into a relationship. Take it seriously because your life is on the line here.
Absolutely.